Party of One podcast, the podcast where I, Jeff Stormer, sit down with my guests one-on-one to play some of my favorite tabletop RPGs. This week, I'm sitting down with one of my oldest and dearest friends, Mr. Mycroft Boyd, to play the Esoterrorists, written by Robin Laws and published by Pelgrane Press. The Esoterrorists uses the gumshoe system, which is designed specifically for mystery games. And I can tell you, after playing through this adventure, it works really well. A link to the Pelgrane Press store can be found in the show notes. One note before we get started, I was lucky enough last night to be a guest on friend of the show Noah Houlihan's Plus 2 comedy podcast. That episode, in which I talk about Party of One, Dan Hibiki, and other various topics, should be up later today. One last note before I start the show. I'll be attending Metatopia this Saturday and Sunday, November 7th through the 8th, playtesting games and chatting with folks. If you listen to the show and you plan on being at the con, stop me and say hi. With all that said, I'm going to throw it over to Me in the Past so he can get started with the show. It's all yours, Me in the Past. Thanks, future me. I'm sitting down this week with Mycroft Boyd, and I'm super excited about it. Mycroft, how you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Hello, everybody.
So, this week we are playing the Esoterrorists using the gumshoe system, and I'm super excited to play with this particular character, because it's a character that we've been talking about for a really long time. So why don't you tell me and the listeners at home who you're playing and tell us a little bit about your character.
Well, I'm Jack Pharaoh, mummy detective. And no, he's not a detective that deals with mummies. He's a detective who is a mummy.
So a mummified detective.
A mummified detective would probably be more correct, indeed. And he deals with the situations that not everyone's willing to trust a mummy. There's a lot of anti-mummy prejudices in the world.
A lot of anti-mummy media out there. A lot of misconceptions.
Yeah. But hopefully we can deal with that. We can all grow as people. And maybe we'll solve a mystery. Maybe.
We just might. So, we open on a wide shot of Memphis, Tennessee.
Excellent.
We zoom in on Memphis's famous Little Cairo district.
Excellent.
We zoom in further on a tiny apartment. Tell me about how Jack Pharaoh starts his day. It's a Thursday morning, early autumn. The sun is bright and shining. Mm-hmm. Southern rock fills the air.
As it always does, the smell of shawarma lifting up from the streets.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that because I am drinking a large coffee mug full of Bailey's Irish Cream, that perhaps Jack Pharaoh is as well. There's a cluttered office, a fish tank entirely full of sand on the desk, shuffling papers, looking like there's something to do when there really isn't, just on the off chance that a client were to walk through the doors. Who knows?
Well, it's been a slow day. It's about 12:30, okay, and you haven't gotten any calls. It's been a slow week in addition to a day.
Uh-huh.
Usually when you're on the supernatural beat, it's sort of feast or famine.
Yeah, you would expect that. Maybe watching the 24 hours news cycle on a little TV. So
you get a text. And does Jack Pharaoh have a cell phone?
That's a good question. Let's say I do.
All right, so you get a text from your good friend, Dr. Sidney Malcolm, at the world-famous Memphis Museum of Natural History.
Oh, fantastic. He's a real expert. It's hard to find someone who does good mummy wrapping in Tennessee.
The text message says, "Museum emergency, are you here? I know Thursdays are Senior Citizen Day."
Oh, excellent. That means I can get in for free, I bet. Yeah, all right. Maybe I will write him back that I can head down to the museum.
All right, cool.
Maybe ask him what I should expect. Is it a real hot senior scene today? I know I'm a little older than the average.
It says, usual crowd, top priority, privacy encouraged?
Ooh.
Murder.
Murder. Well, that gets all of my mummy senses tingling. I'm going to go over to the mantelpiece where I keep a lot of canopic jars. Bring down the only one that's not really covered in dust, and I'm going to get my little 32. I'm going to replace it with my detachable Johnson, because, you can't have things getting in the way of your decision-making when you're on a case.
Sure.
And then I'm going to get my bus pass, because I do not drive. I'm going to take Memphis, Tennessee.
I assume having 5,000-year-old eyes causes problems with driving anyway. That's a good decision.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of having a servant take me where I want to go kind of thing. Like, I wouldn't drive my own chariot.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have one of the fine Memphis, Tennessee, what do they have, a bus? Do they have a subway? They must have a bus.
I assume a bus system.
There must be a bus system. We should have done a little groundwork on it. Yeah, I'll take the bus on over
Professional
to the
podcast.
Yeah, right? We're professionals. I'm going to take the bus down to the museum.
So you arrive at the museum.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you notice is your beloved ancient Egyptian exhibit has been sealed off.
Uh-oh. Police tape. That's
all right.
That seems a little more interesting than the non-Egyptian parts of the museum.
It's not police tape. It's worth pointing out. It is, it's sort of like... You
Velvet
know how
ropes.
Stuff like museums will have not quite looking police tape where it just says, like,
construction.
under maintenance.
But we're not talking velvet rope. We're talking like someone's rolled out some weird tape.
Yeah, for sure.
It's weird. It's definitely not just being cleaned.
Yeah. Yeah, they might want you to think it's just being cleaned, but anybody looking at it's going to go, oh, there's something happened there.
All right, I'm going to take a quick
glance. So you walk through the tape.
Yeah.
The halls leading to the ancient Egyptian exhibit are lined with recreated cave walls, decorated with intricate hieroglyphics.
Oh, excellent.
Small placards offering rough translations. The exhibit itself is a large, spacious room about 100 feet long and about 40 feet wide. 3 Pharaoh tombs sit in various corners of the room. One open to display the vaguely feminine mummy kept inside, and the other one's sealed shut.
Ooh la la.
Next to them, large glass cases hold elaborate displays of mummification tools, ancient Egyptian weapons, and various trinkets recovered from archaeological digs.
God, I wish I had a Khopesh.
Your Khopesh is actually in there, your beloved Khopesh and death mask.
Someday.
Just a knife while Khopesh in the back.
Beautiful. All right. Is there anyone around in the
Yes, there's you're greeted immediately by a young woman in her very early 20s, a young redheaded woman. She comes up to you. Are you Mr. Pharaoh? Mr. Malcolm told me we'd be expecting you. I'm Caitlin Crosby. I'm the new head of security.
Oh, pleasure to meet you, Caitlin Crosby.
Allow me to show you the rest of the way through the exhibit so you can kind of see what we're dealing with.
Well,
so
by
she
all
walks
means.
you through the rest of the room. You see several more informative placards, a few children's educational displays, a number of smaller standing statues, cats, hippos, that kind of thing.
Yuck. All right.
Finally, in the center of the room, there's a large, well-lit pedestal, currently empty. It's sitting in the center of the room, marked with a sign that says, Idol of the Khonshu Hound.
Ooh. Khonshu.
But your eyes drift past those immediately, partly out of familiarity, because this is the same exhibit that you've seen a million times.
Yeah.
But mainly because of the grisly scene that lays before you. Directly in front of the pedestal, a middle-aged, paunchy security guard, from the looks of it, lays dead and mangled, his throat torn out, his abdomen ripped open, and one of his arms severed, in front of the pedestal. He holds a taser in one hand, but his walkie-talkie is still oddly stored in his belt. Next to him, the idol of the Khonshu Hound lays, shattered on the ground. It is a bronze-looking statue, about football-sized, of a very feral, very angry-looking wolfhound. There appears to be no further damage, nothing stolen, and no signs of forced entry. Blood seems to trail out of the room for a few steps and then disappears, but those steps appear to have been wiped up and smeared. And that's all that is immediately apparent, but you can ask questions. Could be.
Human footprints, or humanish? Or...
they've been smeared to a point that you can't really tell immediately. You'd have to really dig in and investigate. But they sort of trail off for about 2 or 3 steps and then vanish. So they've clearly wiped whatever blood was on their feet off by the time they got out of the main exhibit room, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Not obviously shaped, but periodic, so they must be from walking. I'm going to use my master detective intuition to just decide that that's probably that dude's blood. Should I maybe do some
here,
sort of...
you can ask any sort of questions, spend any sort of investigative points to sort of get an understanding of like what you're looking at, sort of how you're investigating. As you begin to look around, Sidney Malcolm, as he's an aging Korean man, very handsome, striking black hair, thin, wiry frames, comes down, meets you. Pharaoh, old friend, it is a pleasure to see you. I wish it was under better circumstances.
I do as well, old friend.
One
we should
day you
start
and I
with,
must get a coffee under not murderous.
Yeah, or a big mug of Irish cream, at least. Let's start with
You know how I like it.
the basics.
Sure.
Can I have that gentleman who's been murdered's name and
Yes.
maybe the hours he was supposed to be working?
Yes, that would be Silas Patel, previous head of security. He usually offered to work the graveyard shift. He said he didn't like the younger kids having to take those hours. He said he had lived a full enough life. So
Well,
he would
let's hope
offer
he
to
was
take
right.
those.
And approximate hours that a graveyard shift entails?
12 to 8.
12 to 8. So I assume he was found around 8 a.m.?
Yeah, he was found this morning when Miss Crosby actually came in. She had just spoken with Director... Oh, here he comes now, Director Morgenblatt.
Director Morgan.
Bursting through the tape is an elderly white man with salt and pepper hair and big, thick beer bottle specs.
Ooh.
And that would be Associate Professor of History Hugo Morgenblatt, Director of the Memphis Museum of Natural History.
Hello, Prof. Morgenblatt.
What is he doing here? Someone... Get him out of here. He is not a licensed police officer, and I do not want him in my museum.
I'll have you know that I am the world's foremost unlicensed private detective. And then
The key word there is unlicensed.
And then my particular skill set may actually be of some use to you today, Hugo.
Do you intend on burying someone beneath the earth in the course of your investigation?
This won't go anywhere near like last time.
Yes, I remember last time well. It took 3 days to dig that man out.
Yes, well, he's
got a book deal now.
We got to do that case next.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll all be prequels.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
Anyway, Hugo, I'm your
This is a
best
police matter. And
I don't think the
not want-
police are equipped to deal with a Hound of Khonshu, which is, I'm going to guess, probably came to life and tore this man to pieces.
That's quite a speculative guess you got there, Mr. Pharaoh, if that is your real name.
You know it's not! I'm going to ignore this man, and I'm going to continue about my investigation.
He turns to Miss Crosby. When I return from my coffee break, he better be gone.
I'll wink
So he
at
walks
her.
off. Caitlin turns to you and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. You do what you need to do. We'll deal with him later."
Thank you, Miss Crosby. Have I mentioned that my second wife had red hair just like yours? And those green
that's
eyes?
so nice. Thank you.
It's enough to make me wistful, but perhaps we should focus on the matter at hand, Mr. Patel's untimely demise. I'm gonna do some evidence collection.
All right, perfect. You lean down and you start analyzing the body and the area around the body. The
All
first
right.
thing you notice is there's a halo of light, it seems, around the body, which strikes you as most peculiar until you look up and notice that there has been a sunroof in this exhibit for as long as you've been coming here, of beautiful stained glass that you've just never noticed before.
I don't tend to look up.
Most people don't.
yeah.
So
What's
you notice
the
that
stained
the
glass
body is
image? Is it like just abstract, or is it
just
like...
an abstract image.
Okay.
You notice that he's laid out fairly directly underneath this sunroof. That's the first thing you notice. The second thing that you notice as you lean down is his uniform, apart from the blood and viscera, his uniform is would be spotless.
Apart from all of the blood?
Yeah, apart from the blood and viscera. It's like pressed, and there's a perfect crease running up the leg. It's clear he took a great deal of value in looking a professional, which makes the shocking amount of dog hair on and around him very peculiar.
Yeah, a man who takes pride in his work doesn't usually come to his job coated in dog hair. I'll make a note to double check if he owns his own dog later.
Alright?
Well creased. Can I spend points to do...
Yes.
Does that involve a roll?
No. You, spending investigation points, you just get told a thing. You just spent a point of evidence collection and were just told that there was dog hair scattered around.
Excellent.
Like, you just get the stuff that you would need to understand what's happening.
Cool,
when you spend a point.
I like this system.
And then you make a roll when attempting a general ability, and then you can choose to spend your points from general abilities to add to that roll.
Ah, groovy. How about if I make an art history check on what a Khonshu Hound statue?
Yes, perfect. They were crafted by artisans as a symbol of protection. They tended to be crafted of very precious metals because, they were supposed to be something that was prayed to and sort of like held up as a holy object. Khonshu, as god of the moon, protected various travelers from various threats of the night. And so the various idols under his name were sort of crafted to represent protection against certain specific threats.
Specific threats.
So you would have... So the Khonshu Hound is against a specific hound.
Something tells me that a night watchman isn't a specific threat. Why would a perfectly good Khonshu Hound tear apart an innocent man who was also there to watch the place? That doesn't add up. I'll make a note of that. Okay, we got a dead man, we got a broken statue, blood everywhere, dog hair everywhere, a sunroof, or maybe more accurately a moonroof, and footprints. I want to look more at these footprints.
Okay. Yeah, so you sort of analyze the footprints, you lean in. Like I said, you notice that they've been smeared up, clearly an attempt to clean the footprint, or so it appears at first. As you look, the first set of the footprints are still a little bit clear and visible, and what you notice is they are clearly not footprints at all, but paw prints.
Okay, they are paw prints.
And it is only the future ones that you notice get very sort of they start to grow longer,
like dragging your feet to get crap off the bottom of them.
Kind of, yeah. But also, there's the shape of them changes from that very short, round, punctual paw shape into something longer and flatter. More foot-like, if you will.
Oh, as if this one set of footprints was made by two creatures.
Perhaps.
Or one creature that is a werewolf. I'm going to write down werewolf and circle it in my little notebook. Werewolf ?
I assume Jack Pharaoh has one of those tiny little analog notebooks that he writes things in.
Yeah, a little notebook. And the Snubnose 32 and a pocket full of sand, and if I can't solve it with all of that, then who knows?
Well, if you can't solve it with that, then there's no hope.
Right. We've got something that's possibly a werewolf. Where do the footprints point? Do they point deeper into the museum, or
back towards the main area of the museum? Yeah, they start to go up that hallway, and then they disappear.
Brush over my skills real quick.
Sure.
Are there any, there's a lot of hieroglyphics in this museum, right?
Yeah.
I do happen to read hieroglyphics. Does anything catch my eye?
Yes, they do. There's a placard in front of both of the walls of hieroglyphics that kind of translates it, but not quite. Not as well as somebody that read the language in life would understand it. So you read it, and the walls tell the story of the Khonshu Hound, which is also called the Moon Hound.
Moonhound.
It is said it was a trickster beast that would enter a village in disguise and begin luring people to its lair where they would be eaten. Those that survive would become marked to become moonhounds themselves.
Ooh, Possible moonhound infestation. Would this be its lair? It doesn't seem like a good lair. It's open to the public. Does my occult studies know anything?
Yes, it does.
Excellent.
You actually remember this from your own experience. But there was a cult in ancient Egypt called the Cult of the Khonshu Hound. They were sort of known for hunting these so-called moonhounds. And after visiting a town, they would leave these tiny statues behind in the homes of anyone attacked by the moonhound. Now, you can choose to spend another point to get more information, but that's what you get from 1 point.
Oh, I'm going to spend the extra point.
Oh, I knew you were.
I front-loaded occult studies.
I know. I planned.
Alrighty.
So, specifically, like I said, when they visited somebody, they would leave these idols behind, and they would tell them a warning to offer up a drop of their own blood to the statue at the first light of the full moon every month, lest they become afflicted by the Moonhound's curse.
First light of the full moon. Dear God, I need to find out when the next full moon is.
Well, you happen to have a point of astronomy. Not to lead you, but...
I'm spending it now.
Well...
When's the next full moon? The time of Googling it.
Luckily for you, the next full moon is in 28 days, because last night was the full moon.
Well, that makes perfect sense. I need to call over Dr. Sidney Malcolm.
Of course, he walks over. He's been sort of leaning back and watching very appreciatively. Caitlin has been sort of periodically trying to, come over, but he's had his hand sort of over her, let him work.
Yeah, it's best not to get distracted by dames. Dr. Malcolm, how long has this particular Khonshu hound been part of the collection?
This was actually... We were just about to make it public. It had been in the lower stacks for about 6 months now, but we had been rigorously testing its veracity. We wanted to make sure that it was a legit, because it was a huge find if we could prove it. Director Morgenblatt finally approved it just this past week. Today was supposed to be its big unveiling. We were rather upset that the statue... I mean, obviously it pales in comparison to poor Silas, but the statue itself was a huge find, and it breaks our hearts to see it broken.
6 months it's been in the basement, possibly shielded from the moon's rays and thus dormant. Or possibly someone in the basement staff has been feeding it blood every month. I'm going to write down dormant without access to moon ? In my notebook.
All right.
Because maybe if it comes to a confrontation later, I can hide in a basement. Well, it seems pretty clear to me that the Khonshu hound, on my current theory, was exposed to moonlight, came to life, wasn't appeased with a single drop of blood by the night watchman and tore him to pieces. Or alternately, something worse than a moonhound came into here, tore up our night guard, and the innocent and brave and loyal moonhound wasn't able to fight it off. Only more investigation will be able to tell that, I suppose.
So Caitlin Crosby finally breaks out. So, do you think that there's anything that we on the security team can do? I mean, I don't know that they'll listen to me. It's my first day on the job, but if I can help in any way...
Well, Miss
Crosby, you've been very nice, so I'd like to help.
My initial thought is that I should probably try to hoodwink her into getting my Khopesh out of the collection. I'm going to flatter her a little bit, and then I'm going to insinuate that maybe I could do more work if I had that Khopesh.
What do you say to her to flatter her?
I'm just going to talk about how lovely my first wife is and how much she reminds me of her with her beautiful red hair and I presume green eyes.
I'm not sure that you originally said it was your first wife, but I'm not going to correct you either way.
Oh, yeah, well, it was probably my second wife, but let's go with first this time, and let's hope that she doesn't notice.
She blushes, and because she's like a bright redhead, her whole face goes red with freckles, and she's like, "Oh, well, I mean, you know, I think that you're quite comely as well, you know."
Yeah, points and flattery. Works even for a mummy.
We really can't. I can't give you the Khopesh. Though perhaps I could talk to Director Morgenblatt once this whole thing is resolved, and if you can really help us narrow down what happened to Silas, we would have to pay you as a consultant. So I don't see why perhaps we couldn't place a replica Khopesh in the thing. We've done it before for certain pieces. We've placed replicas in the display because, if we're being honest, the museum goer can't notice, and sometimes the piece is too valuable to place there directly.
That's a good idea. And no Khopesh is more deserving of a fine replica. Thank you, Miss Crosby. That's
anything I can do to help.
Right.
I wish that I could show you the footage, but we seem to have been hacked on our security cameras, so we can't display it.
Oh yeah, these places have cameras. Huh. Hacked? Who hacked you?
Can't say. It just the cameras didn't work. We went back. That was the first thing that we did, was we went and looked at the whatchamacallits, but they just were blank.
I'm wondering... Got electronic surveillance. Is that useful for taking a look at the system?
Yes.
I'd like to at least get a look at these blank tapes.
You know what? I think that we can... If you come with me, I think that we can take you up to the security
room.
Yeah.
Does Mr. Patel have any personal effects, say in a locker somewhere?
You know what, he does, but we can stop by there after security. So we'll stop by. We'll go to security first and show you the cameras. Then we'll go to the locker.
Mm-hmm.
So,
anyone rifled through this dead man's pockets?
Rifled through his pockets? No, I can't say anyone has.
We'll leave that for the police.
That seems like a good idea.
You never know. Maybe he's got a suicide note.
Yeah, she takes you up the stairs. Director Morgan Blatt walks by and gives you the nastiest stink eye, but she gives him back a death glare, and the two of them have a moment, and you walk by. So she takes you into this cramped little closet of a security thing. They're not exactly expecting jewel thieves and all that kind of stuff, so they don't have a big security thing.
Yeah, this glimpse into their security apparatus is priceless here.
She sits you down. She loads up the thing, and she plays it at 8 times speed. It goes. About 2 a.m., it just goes black. Comes back at 6 a.m., Patel is dead in the middle of the room.
Oh, that narrows down when he died a little better.
That it does. But we don't know anything more than that.
2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
I'm sorry, that's entirely wrong.
Ooh.
It was 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
10 a.m. to... That's all.
10 p.m. to 12 a.m.
10 p.m. to 12 a.m. is when the blackout is?
Yeah, so I'm going to start this over.
Wait, but he was working from 12 to 8.
Yeah, I guess he must have came in early to check something out. I don't know why. Like, he didn't clock in, which is weird, so I don't know why he was there, but come 12 p.m. at the start of his shift, it seems like he was dead.
12 a.m. is
midnight. As though he were not mangled.
Wait, you mean 12 a.m. though, right?
Yes.
So 12 a.m.
I'm not good with times.
The blackout is from 10 p.m. to...
10 p.m. to 12 a.m. So the start of his shift.
So he was dead his whole damn shift.
Yeah, which means that there was no security on staff, which is worrying.
Huh. Completely different time of death. And that makes it, to me, more likely that the moon's first rays must have revivified this Khonshu hound.
So she rewinds it a bit as it gets closer to 10 p.m., and you notice him pacing very worriedly up and down the museum, looking at his clock. The last thing you see before it shorts out at 10 is he looks up, waves, and then it goes black.
He waves?
To a figure seen off-screen.
There was someone else in the museum. This is another effing situation of people trying to vilify a perfectly good Khonshu hound doing its job. Clearly something else more sinister is afoot. You called the right man to the job.
Well, thank you.
Next you would have said a mummy did it. Oh my god. There's some kind of collusion going on.
Maybe we should check his effects.
Let's go to Patel's locker.
So, they take you to the locker. She bolt cutters out the lock. An old padlock, opens it up. I'm going to ask if you have a point in evidence collection left.
Let me think. I've got 2 points left.
Okay, perfect. She opens it up. To the untrained eye, it's merely a collection of perfectly tailored uniforms, flyer for karaoke, some keys, nothing real of note. But, as you are a detective, you note a small notebook buried all the way in the back of the locker, out of plain view. You flip through it and notice what you recognize from your previous spend in astrology as a carefully annotated lunar schedule.
Lunar schedule. The room we're in, is it like a locker room, break room?
Yeah, it's like a locker room.
First things first, I got 3 points in Filch, and I'm going to take these keys.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to roll for that.
And I'm gonna spend one of my 3 points on that.
Okay. Yeah, so you grab the dice. You grab the keys. think it works.
Perfect.
No one notices. As you've sort of opened this up before anybody can notice, so the keys are already in your pocket by the time Caitlin has looked in, and she sees nothing of note, but you've got the notebook in your hand.
Excellent.
And it's a carefully annotated lunar schedule, and underneath the various dates of the full moon, it says, meeting with HM, and it has a time marked.
What time does it say?
10 p.m.
10 p.m.
On the various dates with HM.
Could be Hugo Morgenblatt. Could be someone else entirely. Not ready to make an accusation. Where do the employees keep their lunches?
They have a break room on the second floor.
I'm going to go to the break room real quick.
Okay.
When I get to the fridge,
yeah,
is there a lunchbox that says Patel on it?
There is, but it is empty when you open it up.
Empty. He ate his lunch before the middle of his shift. He came to work and ate his dinner 2 hours before he went on shift. I don't think he intended to stay his entire shift. Telling. Most telling clue so far. So HM, lunar calendar. It's clearly a second person involved in this attempt to frame a Khonshu Hound.
Sure.
I hope to God that's true, and I don't have to fight a Khonshu Hound werewolf, but we'll see. Maybe if I confront Hugo Morgenblatt right off the bat, threaten to peel the flesh off his face with the gaze of the ancients or something. Something super.
A sound strategy.
He'll just give up and admit that it was him who did it. And yet,
it could work.
I need to see one more part of the museum before I decide to wait a month and see if it strikes again.
Of course.
Is there a way I can get into the basement collection where it was stored for the previous 6 months?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
She lets you into the basement below. Mm-hmm. And, it's stacks. So it's these huge library-style hallways of big unmarked boxes.
End of Indiana Jones?
Yeah, End of Indiana Jones. She grabs a card catalog, she starts flipping through it, and she stops with a pause, gets on her walkie-talkie, and calls in Dr. Malcolm. Mm-hmm. Dr. Malcolm comes down. The two of them flip through together. Well, this is most peculiar. It should be here, right? It should have been cataloged. I don't understand why that's so strange. It's been here for... He said 6 months, right? Yeah, he said 6 months. I don't know what the problem is. So now they full-on huddled apart from you, and they're kind of whispering, unless you sort of want to push your way in.
I'm going to push my way in.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is terribly embarrassing. I didn't want to expose us in front of you, but it doesn't appear to have been registered here for the past 6 months. I mean, we've all seen it, but it wasn't in the card catalog, which means that it wasn't... Wherever it was, they didn't want us to know where it was, which is very strange.
Off the books, no provenance.
Yeah. Why they would keep such an artifact off the books is beyond me.
Well, because it had been stolen, or because it was a fake, or both.
A fake?
Well, I don't think it was a fake, but I mean that is...
Jackie boy, come with me.
Yeah,
and the two of you go back to the main Egyptian room. Which, at this point, there are several senior citizens gathered around watching, because they now have watched the head of security take a mummy in a trench coat up the stairs to security, then to the locker room, then to the lunch room, and you guys have just been which are all on different corners of the museum. So I'm just envisioning a long montage of,
Did you hear there's a mummy in the museum? He's walking around. Someone's
people whispering, and then you guys bolt out, and then...
I bet the mummy killed the guy. Yeah, I'm used to it.
So you guys come back to the Egyptian exhibit, and he leans down. My goodness, you were right. My God, it's a fake.
Oh.
He holds up a shard of what appeared to be brass, or whatever. Holds up a shard of it.
Or whatever. I'm not an ancient materials scientist, so we can hand-wave this one.
It's museum plaster. We use it to make the replicas. I confirmed this myself. This is not the artifact that we were going to put on display. Someone has replaced it with a fake.
Someone wants us to think the Khonshu Hound is broken. Someone who has access to museum plaster. I'm going to assume it wasn't Dr. Malcolm. God, everything's pointing to Hugo Mortenblatt. What would be gained from that?
I believe you have one more point of occult studies.
Yeah, lay it on me, homie. I've got 2 more points of occult studies. I dropped 4 in this bad boy.
Well, yeah, I want to save one of them for later, but I know that you're going to want to spend one now.
That sounds like a wise choice.
If one wanted to go public, but still wanted to have the Khonshu Hound there to drop blood on, it would be beneficial to replace it with a fake and hoard the original for yourself.
It would be harder to make blood offerings to the real one if it was in the middle of the museum and on camera 24/7.
Yes.
Oh, that does make sense. Yeah, that does make sense. So now I'm back to thinking the Khonshu Hound is evil. Or at least misunderstood and under the wrong master. God, it would be so sweet to have a Khonshu Hound, but I don't have any blood.
That seems like really the primary
seems like
function of the Khonshu Hound.
Yeah, God, there's just no way I could appease it. Someone's got the real Khonshu Hound. Someone wants me to think the Khonshu Hound's been broken. Someone who Mr. Patel, Silas, knew and colluded with and trusted to be at the museum after hours was there. Someone who could also have probably had access to the security cameras, because hack doesn't really sound like the way to get rid of a VCR so much as turning it off because you've got the key to the building because you're the director of the board of trustees. God, everything's pointing towards Director Morgenblatt.
Well, speak of the devil. He finally walks back into the room. I told you, get that filthy mummy out of my museum.
Well, Director Morgenblatt, I think I see the true purpose of you wanting detectives off of this case.
Oh, do you now?
Where were you between approximately 10 p.m. and 12 a.m. last night?
I was cataloging things in the sub-basement.
So you were here?
Of course.
And in your catalog, did you perhaps know where the real Hound of Khonshu is?
The real Hound of Khonshu was in here, being prepared to display this morning.
Then how do you explain that this is a replica made out of museum plaster?
Why, I am shocked at this revelation. As shocked as anyone would
detector? Be. Yeah, let's do that. I got 2 points.
He's lying.
He's lying?
That is a man that is lying.
That knew that it was a replica and perhaps was not even cataloging it. All right. Interesting.
And knew that it had not been on the catalog. If he had spent that much time in the sub-basement,
he would have known that it was off the books. Tell me, Morgenblatt, where did you get this Khonshu Hound?
It was given to us by an archaeologist. It was a gift after a recent find. It's very standard museum stuff. Things that you should know about being a museum exhibit.
Oh, I take umbrage to that, sir. I was only on display in Berlin for a month.
We're going to have to do a Berlin adventure now. You know that.
Well, yeah, I picked the other language besides hieroglyphics is German, because, they did a lot of Egyptology back then. It's got to be all prequels. A mysterious unnamed archaeologist gave this Khonshu Hound to you. You didn't list it in the books. And then...
Of course I listed it in the book.
Then why is the listing missing, sir?
Well, I've
been through your card catalog!
Mycroft, do you have 1 point left in evidence collection?
Let me look. Yes, I've got exactly 1 point left.
Good. You happen to take a glance down at his shoes as he is yelling.
Uh-huh.
And you can't help but notice that, particularly against black leather, blood, even dried blood, seems to pop.
What kind of shoes are these? Full details.
Black leather penny loafers.
Okay. Oh, God, I don't trust him. He's got blood on his shoes. I'm going to keep that little gem for my trump card. Maybe I should play my trump card right now. God, what if he's the Khonshu Hound? Some kind of werewolf. This wouldn't be a safe place to confront him and have him turn into a wolf and kill all my friends and ex-wives. Where was I? I lost my train of thought entirely. God, he's the werewolf. No, he's not. The werewolf's innocent. So he either killed Patel and danced in his blood, or he's a werewolf and killed Patel and danced in his blood, or the werewolf fought him and they both danced in blood, or there's no werewolf and there's just a normal statue and he's some kind of third thing, or... Good grief. This doesn't feel like the right time for a confrontation. I feel like I need to back off.
Okay.
And then surveil him.
Okay.
So, you win this time, Morgan Blatt. I'll back off. The case is yours.
Always win.
Yes, you do. You've made that abundantly clear.
Yes, I did. And he sort of does this big theatrical Vince McMahon strut off.
Morgan Blatt! Yeah, I'll kill him with a cloud of scarabs one of these days.
One of these days.
So I'm going to confer outside the museum, or maybe let's go to the gift shop.
All right.
I'm going to confer with Dr. Malcolm in the gift shop.
Sure. He comes down. He's got a mug of coffee. It says, #1 Director of Acquisitions and Renovations. That he's drinking coffee out of.
Dr. Malcolm.
What are you thinking, Jackie, old friend?
Every sign points to Director Hugo Morgenblatt being involved in this in a nefarious capacity.
Absolutely not. The man is... In the past 6 months, he's been a mentor to all of us.
Past 6 months?
Yeah. Since he took over for the previous director of the museum.
Oh, that's not a...
Director Cornelius' fake name.
Cornelius' fake name was a real treasure.
We miss him dearly.
I can't believe I didn't think to ask how long he'd been director. He's been here exactly as long as the Khonshu Hound. He had blood all over his shoes.
Blood all over his shoes?
I'm going to let that truth bomb land, yeah. Here's Mr. Patel's notebook outlining not only the cycles of the full moon, but meetings with an HM.
My
Obviously,
God.
Hugo Morgenblatt. The absence of the statue and the card catalogs. We've got a replica, which he obviously lied about it being a replica. He was here during the murder.
My God.
Have you ever seen him in the same room as the Khonshu Hound statue?
Of course, it was his baby. He said that was going to be his greatest unveiling. He was there with it every night. He seemed to treasure that thing like a holy artifact. Which I guess it was, but you know what I mean.
Like a holy artifact, Malcolm? I don't expect that.
You know, I'm trying, Jack, and I hope that you can understand.
You're one of the good ones. It seems to me that it is most likely that Morgenblatt is a cultist of Khonshu, that he makes blood offerings to this statue every night, and that last night he either gave it a big offering of an unwitting sacrifice, or he made the sacrifice late and was unable to appease the Khonshu Hound. He either is a Khonshu Hound, or the statue comes to life. And statues coming to life is crazy, even for a model.
I mean, we've had it on camera for 6 months, and I've never seen it come to life, so... I mean, it's possible, but...
It's been under permanent surveillance, and Morgenblatt hasn't, which means that if I have to choose between Morgenblatt or the statue transforming into a magical wolf that kills people, Morgenblatt seems more likely. That's just deduction.
My God.
That's just simple deduction.
That's why you're the detective.
So, we've got to follow Morgenblatt.
Okay.
And, God, I don't want to wait another month and have him kill someone, so we should follow him
we must absolutely not wait another month. If he's turning into a monster at the light of the full moon, we should take advantage of the fact that we have a full 28 days.
We've got a month. Yeah, we should use this month to our advantage and not waste it. So he's a Khonshu Hound, Hugo Morgenblatt. He killed Patel. We need to find his statue. That's the source of his power. Or, wait, no, if he was making regular sacrifices, he wouldn't turn into him. Maybe there's a whole cult. Maybe a whole bunch of cool Egyptian cultists have survived for 3,000 years, and they want to accept me as their god king.
Well, you know you're talking out loud now.
Yeah. Do all my talking out loud. Should just assume all of these asides are out loud. No inner monologue. It's not how pharaohs do things.
You know, Jackie boy, you and I go back years.
Oh, yeah.
Ever since the London incident. I gotta say, I'm starting to wonder if maybe not bringing you onto the case seems like a better idea if it's going to lead to you trying to become some sort of god king.
I take umbrage to become a god king, because I am a god king. But, point taken, old top. Let's, focus on stopping the werewolf first.
One thing at a time.
The Khonshu Hound. Maybe he's some kind of weird Western werewolf who just likes Egypt and just wants to be a Khonshu Hound. Does all his normal, regular Western werewolfing with like an Egyptian flavor that's just totally gonna make life harder for the mummies in town. Ah, nefarious! Morgenblatt!
You rang.
Is he back?
He's over your shoulder.
Oh, I was just buying some souvenirs. I'm gonna pick up this cool... What's the nearest thing on a shelf to me?
It's a t-shirt that just says Mummy Hunter.
Yeah! Just getting this Mummy Hunter t-shirt, Morgenblatt. And I go to the cashier and I pay for the shirt. And I'm going to wear it.
Cashier's a lovely old woman named Karen.
Oh, Karen. Have I ever mentioned to you that you remind me of my second wife? Same eyes. Same... It's fire. And I'll pay for that shirt and I'm going to wear it under my trench coat.
You know, you want people to know. I get it.
So I think I've mined the museum as much as I can.
Okay.
I need to surveil Morgenblatt.
Okay.
God, what's he gonna... Maybe he should just break into his home at night.
That's valid. It's a valid strategy.
Right? That feels like a valid strategy.
Okay.
I know he works nights. He's there at the museum at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna break into his home.
Okay. That's why you're not a cop. So, how do you get his address?
That's exactly what I was just wondering.
I'm going to say however you choose, you get it. Just you have to say how you've got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna... Going over my stats. It's clearly not chemistry. Oh, I haven't used my law yet. Maybe I can look up in city records where he's paying property taxes.
Yeah, that seems like a good strategy. Sure.
Right? Yeah,
So you look at
City Hall.
You look up his address. When do you choose to go?
Mm.
While you know he's on duty. Another time.
The hour of the jackal. 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Sure. You hang around by the museum until then, so you kind of spend your whole day in the museum neighborhood.
Yeah. I'll get a shawarma. Because it's Little Cairo, right? Is the museum in Little Cairo?
Well, it's a bus ride away, actually, so no. But you can still get a shawarma. I mean, that's everywhere nowadays.
Right? Yeah, Memphis. They're known for their shawarma.
Good old Memphis shawarma.
Shawarma and ribs. It's a whole day, right?
It's a culture. So you hang out. You note that around 1 or 2 a.m., you note that his car is still there, so you know that he's not going to be there. I assume you catch a cab, or do you wait for the bus?
What kind of car does he drive?
He drives a real beat-up Chevy Nova.
Chevy Nova. Beater. Good to know, in case I need to hide in the backseat of it later. And I'll take the bus. I got my bus pass.
So you take the bus. It takes a while, because it's late.
And it's the bus.
Yeah. But you get to his apartment. You go up to the door. Or do you go through the door or the window?
Ooh.
Or up the fire escape, rather. It's on the 4th floor.
It's a 4th floor? Is it like an apartment? Or like a condo?
It's an apartment.
Okay.
A very small apartment.
All right.
Smaller than you'd expect given the director of a major metropolitan museum.
Huh. Well, he's only been director for 6 months. He'll move into the mansion later, probably, when all of his evil schemes come to fruition and he's rich and ruling the town as a werewolf god king. Which I've got to nip in the bud.
There's only room for one god king.
Well, first I'm going to try on his front door every key on Patel's ring.
Okay.
None of them fit, do they?
Actually, one does.
So they were colluding. That's excellent.
You open the door, you look
All right.
inside, and it is empty. Completely empty. As though no one had ever lived here. No, that's not true. There are 2 chairs. Two very basic IKEA Herman chairs.
Oh my god! He spent nothing on this fake address. If he was there since 10 p.m. last night, it's 2 a.m. technically the next day. He's been at that museum for more than 24 straight hours.
Why, yes, he has.
Flashback memory.
Yep.
Was his name on any lunches in the break room fridge?
No, but several were marked as HM.
Huh. So he eats food.
He does eat.
All right.
Which is a more valuable thing than
That's a clue.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate that that's a clue. That excites me that that's a clue.
It's a clue. So he's been lying about his address. Patel has the key here, but there's clearly nothing here except for the occasional they meet. I'm beginning to think Patel's not an innocent victim, but some kind of cultist who was caught up in a... He chose to work graveyard shifts, right?
He offered to work graveyard shifts. He said he didn't want the younger people to have to deal with that.
Yeah, he's some kind of cultist. He was perfectly innocent here, but I'll still avenge him. Well, I'm gonna peek around more in his house.
Okay. The only other thing you find is a single low-grade Dell laptop.
Like an old Dell laptop.
Yeah. Not a recent model. Like it's been around for a few years.
Well, I'm not gonna waste time here and get caught and have to kill the bad guy before I've got great evidence he's the bad guy. So I'm just gonna take the laptop with me.
Okay.
I assume it's power cord, and I'm gonna go back to my office.
Okay.
And then I'm going to try to break into this laptop all night.
Okay. Is there a computer skill? I don't have the skill list in front of me. I think there is.
There's like a cryptography thing that I didn't feel was perfect. Maybe this document analysis, linguistics, surveillance, electronic surveillance. I'm going to fiddle around with this computer for an hour, realize that I can't get into it on my own, and then I'm going to use my network to find someone who can break me into this laptop.
You happen to know from your long conversations that your friend at the pawn shop, what was her name?
Ruby Jane.
Ruby Jane. That Ruby Jane is quite the young techie. And
People
they happen to be
sell her
open
lots
24
of
hours.
laptops, and then she probably... Yeah, excellent. So I'm going to go to the local Cash for Gold.
Okay,
with this laptop.
You walk in and there's punk music playing, and she's behind the counter as she always is at this time of night, and she sees you and she lights up and she says, "Hello, mummy." Sorry, I always do that. I'm sorry, that's embarrassing.
Hey, Ruby Jane, I got a problem.
And she leans.
You get a lot of
really
stolen
excitedly.
laptops here. You got to fence, right? And you got to get into them, see if there's anything useful on them.
Sure.
All right. I got a stolen laptop. Plunk.
Okay. Appreciate your honesty.
And I need to get into it. And it's yours after I get all the information I need from it.
I mean, we legally cannot accept stolen laptops, she says as she points to a back room.
Good point. Let's go into the back room, and I will go find a laptop that's mine for you to work on.
Appreciate it. And, you head to the back room. She puts up a back in 5 sign.
Uh-huh. Good.
She's like, all right, plug it in. Let's see what we got. So you plug
I remember
it in.
to steal the power cord, right?
Yeah. Package deal. So you plug it in. She cracks it. She cracks it in 2 minutes flat. Turns out the password was password with a 4.
Ah, the one variation of password I didn't check in my hour.
She opens it up and she's like, did you say this belonged to somebody? Because it sure doesn't seem like it. It's pretty empty. Well, I mean, no, I guess there's an email client. Do you want to see what they've been emailing?
Yeah, of course I do, Ruby Jane.
She looks. Oh, well, that's. You'd think they would email more. They would have a few more emails if they've been using this computer for 6 months, but I guess not everybody's a techie. That's odd.
6 months, you say? How do you know it's 6 months?
The emails only go back 6 months, and it includes the welcome to Outlook email.
All right, 6 months, a hard 6.
So she looks, and you look through them, and the only emails that you see are to spatel@memphismuseum.org. Or does it? I guess it would be .gov for a museum.
All right.
Memphismuseum.lol.
Espatel@memphismuseum.lol.
And they're back and forth.
Uh-huh.
But what's weird is that this email is... The emails from this computer are being sent from thewolf@gmail.com.
Morgan Black. Let's just click on the most recent one.
The most recent one is Patel responding to an email chain from the Wolf saying, "I can't do this. You have to bring it back. It's too valuable. Too many people are going to lose their jobs if they find out it's a fake. You can't take it. I don't care if you need it. Meet me at 10 before my shift starts. I'll take it back, and we don't have to talk about this anymore. You can still visit it. We have the same arrangement that we have ever had.
6 months ago, the museum acquires a statue very valuable to Morgenblatt. Morgenblatt rested nothing until he's the director of that museum so he can see it. Makes an arrangement with the night guard so that he can see it at night, feed it blood, appease it, possibly hoping to contain the beast within himself. Patel gets cold feet when they make a switch. Good to know. Never trusted Patel. Wasn't going to use him in my plot to get my Kopesh back. And then when he meets him to make the switch, he kills Patel, breaks the replica so that no one is looking for the real statue. Now where is he keeping the real statue? Where does he actually live? Because his house is a charade. Questions lead to more questions.
That's the last question, isn't it?
Where do I find Morgenblatt? I should have stayed on him. I learned too much leaving him. What if he's still at the museum? What if he lives in the museum?
An intriguing possibility.
Well, I'm going to thank Ruby Jane.
Anytime, boss.
Have the laptop.
Hey, boss. Next time you're in town, why don't you meet me for something other than a stolen computer case? We'll get dinner or something. Shawarma, on me.
I'd love that, Ruby Jane. If I ever mention you remind me of my fourth wife. You've got her fire. In her eyes.
I believe you said fifth wife last time, but I still appreciate the compliment. Get out of here and solve that case.
Were more alike than they were different. You're right, Ruby Jane. I gotta get back to this. Can't let dames distract me. All right, I'm gonna ride my bus back to the museum.
Okay. Well, now with all these bus rides, it's 4 or 5 a.m. The sun has started to come up.
Probably not able to catch a bus. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, it runs 24 hours, but it's just taking a while.
Slow. Yeah, it's slow. Wasting the day.
It's 4 or 5 a.m. You arrive, and the first thing you see is that the parking lot is all but empty. There's 1 or 2 security guards, cars, and there, right in the middle of the parking lot, right where you last saw, is a beat-up Chevy Nova. Hasn't moved an inch.
I'm going to go up to the Nova.
All right.
And I'm going to...
You look into the Nova, the first thing you see is that the cushions on all but the driver's seat have been torn to shreds.
Torn to shreds.
Claw marks all over them.
Claw marks, but not on the driver's seat.
Nope.
I'm going to take a quick peek at the odometer if I can. You can just make up any number. I just want to see if it's the same later on.
It is 200 miles.
200 miles.
It is straight from the dealer.
He hasn't driven this thing in 6 months. So there goes my plan to wait in the back seat for him, because I don't think he's going to come to his car. I don't think he's even sleeping in this thing, which is a goddamn waste of a Chevy Nova. Can I... It's 4 a.m.? 5 a.m.?
5 a.m.
5 a.m.? What time is the museum open?
8 a.m. But it's worth pointing out that it is not free for seniors. It is Friday now.
It's Friday, and I don't want to pay. So I'm going to break into the museum on the...
Well, as you get out your breaking-in gear, a VW Beetle pulls up next to you, and out pops cute little Caitlin Crosby.
Oh.
Hey,
fantastic.
Mr. Mummy.
I'm gonna
what you got there in your hands?
I'm going to put my lock picks back into my pocket, and Caitlin, I'm afraid we may be in great danger.
Ooh, that's exciting.
I've discovered that Director Morgenblatt is not who he appears to be. Last night on a hunch, I went to his home.
I actually have to go. I'm just driving by. I have to go now.
You have to go now
to the place. I have a meeting with she starts like back towards her car.
If you know something you're not telling me, Miss Crosby, I'm going to intimidate her.
Oh, I can't.
If you don't want to be on the wrong end of the gaze of the ancients, I think you'd better tell me now, or I can't promise that I can protect you.
I promised I wouldn't say anything. He gave me this job so I wouldn't say anything, so I can't say anything. I'm sorry.
Out with it, Crosby! Out with it!
I saw that the tapes went dark, and I called in, and Morgenblatt answered, and he said there was an opening for a head of security, and the job was mine. No interview required if I just didn't say anything about it. Please don't tell him I said anything. He'll have me fired. I need this job. I have student debt.
Have you been working here for one day? Oh, yeah, she did just tell us the head of security. She's been working here for one day?
Yeah, it's my first day.
Crosby, get me your...
Please don't get me fired on my first day.
I promise you won't be fired.
Okay.
Give me your keys.
She
go
hands you
home
your keys.
and lock your door.
Sir, yes, sir.
Keys to the museum. You're in
Thank
great danger. Morgenblatt is not who he seems, or even what he seems. And whatever you do,
he seems like an
don't
asshole.
trust the man.
Is he not an asshole?
Oh, he's totally an asshole. But he's also like a wolf's asshole.
Oh,
that
ew.
Once a month transforms and tears the head of security to pieces.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So, in your present
Yeah, I'm gonna
shoes,
go.
I trust you apprehend
But I
him.
need you to do something for me.
Level of danger. Name it.
Promise you'll stop him.
I pull out my snub-nosed 32, the weakest and shortest handgun there really is. And I say, count on it, baby.
She hops in her car and drives off.
All right. I put away that gun. It's practically useless. I only got 1 point in shooting.
Okay.
I took the point in shooting, so I'd have the gun. More as an intimidation tool. All right.
So now is where I'm
Well,
going to
the key to
interject briefly and mention, since you have a pretty good idea of what you're dealing with. Well, let me ask you, do you have a pretty good idea of what you're dealing with?
Is Morgenblatt some kind of Egyptian werewolf?
Yes, you can choose to spend a point of
I think that's what it is.
of occult studies to know more about Egyptian werewolves, if you'd like.
Let's spend that 4th point on Egyptian werewolves. Knowledge.
Okay, perfect.
Do it.
Well, you know all the rumors, the pop culture facts about how to kill a werewolf. Silver bullets, wolf's bane, etc. The thing is...
I'm trusting that I have heard something maybe 3,000 years older.
The thing is, as someone who has dealt with werewolves before, always prequels, you know that this is a misconception. It's not that the tools listed to kill a werewolf don't work. It's that they don't work on the wolfen form.
Oh.
Once in the wolfen form, the werewolf is unkillable.
That makes perfect sense.
And, moreover, if you try to kill the human without proper werewolf killing tools, your silver bullets, your wolf's bane, etc., the werewolf will trigger and transform, allowing the human body to heal while in the wolfen form.
It'll transform as soon as it's injured.
Yeah. As soon as the human form is injured, it will transform until it's recovered, and then revert back. And while a werewolf, it's unkillable.
I'm going to spend a point. And you tell me if this is anthropology, natural history, or research.
Okay.
Or streetwise or whatever, but what kind of silver crap is in the museum?
Well, there happens to be, within the Treasures of the Old West exhibit, there is the fabled silver gun and silver bullets of a masked vigilante of the Old West, who used the silver gun and silver bullets to forge from his silver mine to fight criminals.
Yippee-ki-yay. Alright, I've got the key to the museum.
You got the key to the museum.
I'm going to real casually go in through the front door.
Alright.
And I'm going to make a beeline right to the Treasures of the Old West.
Okay.
And I'm going to, oh God, break it. It's his gun and his bullets?
His gun and his bullets.
Thank God.
Also his hat, if you wanted to take his hat.
I have been conspicuously hatless this entire fucking game. Alright. You know what? Let's get him down here. I'm going to smash the glass.
Alright, the alarms go off.
I'm going to put on the hat.
Morgenblatt arrives with a security guard on both sides. I knew it. I knew that you were merely looking to rob this museum of its Old West
treasures.
exhibits. I figured you would go for the Kopesh, to be honest. That seemed like more your speed, but whatever. I'm still going to have you arrested.
Oh, trust me, Morgenblatt. When this is all said and done, that Kopesh will be mine. Gentlemen, do you know that you're working for a werewolf?
Did you know we were working for a werewolf? Nah, I didn't know we were working for a werewolf.
You're working for a werewolf.
Oh, man.
I can prove it, too.
Okay.
First. And then I'm going to shoot the Morgenblatt.
All right. With the silver bullets?
With a silver bullet.
All right, I'm going to ask for a shooting roll.
Okay. I still don't have any dice.
Yeah, I got my dice here.
I got 1 point in shooting. I'm going to spend that point to shoot him good.
Okay. You shoot him square in the shoulder.
Yeah.
It's not a lethal shot, but he goes
Flesh
down.
wound.
I mean, he's an old man.
Yeah, there's more of that.
But he's now, like, crying and squealing on the ground in a very uncool way. But not transforming, it's worth pointing out.
Because it was a silver bullet, gentlemen.
It was a silver bullet.
He would instantly have shrugged off a regular bullet and transformed instantly into a wolf.
So, are you saying that your way of proving that he's not a werewolf is to shoot him, and when he doesn't transform, that's
Do I have
proof?
5 more bullets? Are they reaching for guns or anything?
They're kind of in shock that you just shot a man in cold blood, but they've started to reach for their tasers.
Can I get off another shot?
Yeah.
Well, let's do that.
It goes wide.
God damn, I knew I should have. It's not your fault. I tell the gun. Can I throw sand in the guard's eyes now?
Yeah. Roll a scuffling roll.
Yeah, let's scuffle.
How many points do you want to spend?
I've got 5 points in scuffling.
Oh yeah, he goes down hard. He's crying like a baby. Oh God! What? Ow! Why?
You'll thank me later.
Did you just throw sand in his eyes? You know what? I'm done. I quit. I ain't getting sand thrown in my eyes by no beetle humping mummy. All right.
Beetle humping mummy. I'll have words for him later. Yeah, he didn't.
The other guard walks off.
All right.
And Morgan Blatt is crying with a. Why? Why would you? Oh, I'm gonna...
Tell me where the statue is.
I should just die now. So that you just seem like you killed me for nothing. But I want to be able to...
Where the real statue is, Morgan Blatt.
If you have any interpersonal points,
I'll find it later.
Now.
Oh, let's see. I've got negotiation and impersonate and flattery and flirting.
I'd be willing to accept negotiation here. Do you seem to have it over a barrel?
Like the way. Yeah, I've got 1 point in that. Let's negotiate.
All right, so what's the deal you're going to offer him?
Oh God!
Beyond just I'll let you live.
That was my opening offer, and it seemed real good. What else can I give him? Let's see. There's no cure for werewolfism. He probably likes tearing people apart.
So his body goes heavy as he lets out like a deep, blood-curdled sigh.
Oh God, he's dead.
He's not dead. He's dying. He's been shot.
Oh, God,
he hasn't been treated, but
dying.
He lets out a sigh. You know, I didn't want to do it. I just needed to. You have to understand, Mummy. You're a creature of the night. You're a foul, bloodthirsty monster like I am.
I'm going to contain my rage and let him continue.
I didn't want to be this way. I wanted to be just the director of a mid-level metropolitan museum. It's all I've ever wanted since I was a little boy.
I get it.
Do you have a dream, Mr. Pharaoh?
Just a simple one. To one day find my Grandpa Scorpion's Book of Magic and the Undead, and to use it to raise a skeleton army that will reseat me as the God King of the known world.
We're not so
I get where
different,
you're coming from.
You and I. I merely wanted to be normal. So when I discovered the Khonshu Hound and I heard the history behind it, I tracked it down across the world, and every month at the light of the full moon I would offer a drop of my blood. As the prophecy said, in these past 6 months I have been a human, and I have lived as a human without the terrible curse of the wolf over my head. Mr. Patel would let me come in, use the statue. He never asked a question. He was a kind man, a gentle man. Let the record show that he was a good man, in a bad position, put there by another bad man.
Whole time, we need to get you to a hospital.
No, I think this is it for Hugo Wolf and Morgan.
Hugo! No, Hugo! You need to be the one who gives me the Kopesh so that no one comes. Take it back from me.
You know what?
I don't have any.
On second thought, if you want to take me to a hospital, that sounds great. I accept.
I'm gonna drag him to the Chevy Nova, and we're gonna get him to a hospital.
All right, make a driving roll.
Do you know how to? Yeah, make an unmodified and untrained driving roll. If you want to add a penalty to this, that's fine.
No, it's perfect. You get to the hospital just fine.
I can't believe I've driven for the first time. This isn't so hard.
That's character.
All right,
character growth.
I'm gonna carry him in like a princess, in my arms.
Jack, I want you to know, as he, lanes, as they take him and they lay him down, I never use that car. I live in a sub-basement near the stack, so I could be near the statue in case I felt the demon coming close to me.
I know. You've only got 200 miles on that
Jack,
car.
I want you to
Your
have the car.
house is empty. My God.
And you know what? Yes, you can have the Kopesh. Consider it
Hugo,
a gift from one monster to another.
Thank you, Hugo. And trust me, just because I had the keys to your museum and you were incapacitated and all of the guards were gone, doesn't mean I was going to go back and take my things anyway.
I think that's game.
Yeah,
Mycroft, thank you so
fair.
much for coming on the show. This has been so much fun.
Thank you, Jeff. That was a great mystery.
Oh, I'm going to throw it back to me in the future so he can wrap up the show. Take it, me in the future. Thanks, past me. Gosh, I love that game. That was so much fun. I can tell you one thing with certainty. Jack Pharaoh will return. I always wanted to say that. Now, before we go, I thought I'd take a moment at the end of each show to recommend a podcast for you to listen to if you really enjoyed this one. This week, I'm talking about two. One Shot and Campaign. One Shot and Campaign are simply put the best. Both are actual play podcasts like this one, or rather mine is a show like theirs, with an emphasis on, you guessed it, one-shot adventures and a long-running campaign set in the Star Wars universe, respectively. Both of these shows are really special to me. They were not only the first real actual play podcasts I listened to, but they were among the first podcasts I got into, period. One Shot is deeply funny, often riveting, and is a showcase for a ton of killer games. And Campaign features some of the best character development of any show I'm currently watching, listening to, etc. Check both of those out at oneshotpodcast.com. Party of One is produced and edited by Jeff Stormer. All music for the show comes from You and Me by the band Tally Hall. To keep up with the show, follow me on Twitter at DexDynamo for the juiciest details. And with all that said, thanks for listening, and I'll see you again real soon.